back. We are live once again. It's a couple minutes late. Very sorry about that. Just had to take care of some errands. But we're here to chat about Freemasonry. And today, I think we're going to chat about is going to be um, Freemasonry and Edgar Allan Poe and the Masque of the Red Death, and why I think there are some lessons there for Freemasons that we should be thinking about and considering in our Masonic careers with our Masonic lodges. There's lessons for Freemasonry in a ton of different media, and so this one I'm choosing that one. This stream I'm choosing that media. This stream I'm choosing Masque of the Red Death. For the time, it's just a matter of waiting to see who jumps on. We are once again dealing with a very, very hot day in Windsor, so please be careful if you are in Windsor. Heat stroke is a real thing. Drink lots of water, take care of yourself, take care of your pets, take care of your family. And for me, please hit that like button and subscribe button. And let's give it a bit of time. Let's see who joins. And what do you want to talk about? Also, I was thinking it might be kind of fun to talk about Maslow's hierarchy of needs, where we think Freemasonry fits within the hierarchy of needs, and why we think that way. I may even do a poll question about that, so we shall see. Also, happy anniversary to Buffy the Vampire Slayer, the movie, which is, I think, an incredible movie. This might get me in some trouble, but I think it's a movie that is actually better than the TV show. I'm one of the few who thinks that, but nonetheless, one of my favorite movies, and it is celebrating its anniversary today. So I don't know if this is a cool T-shirt. It's a very sweaty shirt at the moment. It feels like it's very damp. So. But welcome, Courtney. How's it going with you? I hope you're doing well. August 5th, coming up soon. I hope you're excited. Benish Usman says hello. Hello, Benish. I hope you're doing well. I hope you'll be so kind as to hit that like and subscribe button. Let me know. Can you? I can read it, Benish. I hope I'm pronouncing that correctly. Forgive me if I'm not. I hope that you are doing well. Please take a moment, hit that like and subscribe button. And we're here to chat about Freemasonry. So any thoughts you have on it, positive, negative, or neutral, please let me know. Before we get into our main subjects and main discussions, get a real job. Well, you're the one here on the stream with me, in fairness. So, you know. If you're going to be following me on here, then you can't tell me to get a real job, but you can hit the like and subscribe button to help me out. They go through humiliation rituals, says that guy. Well, that guy, I mean, I've been a Freemason for 20 years, approximately, been to over 1,000 meetings, and I've never felt humiliated, nor have I seen anybody humiliated, so I'm not sure what the humiliation rituals are to which you are referring. I believe you may have been seeing some stuff online. What degree? Oh, the infamous question, what degree? By the way, Webkins, that's okay. So that guy, so I am, the degree that matters is Master Mason. I'm a 3rd degree Master Mason. I believe you're probably, when you ask the question, what degree, referring to the appended body, Scottish Rite or York Rite. I am Scottish Rite. I am 18th degree here in Canada. In the States, when you join Scottish Rite, you have a tendency to go through all the degrees up to 32nd in one weekend. And I've seen some brothers, I know a lot of brothers who've done that. For me, in Canada, Ontario, you have one weekend of Lodge of Perfection, one weekend of Rose Croix, and then you go to consistory. So I stopped at 18 because I was exhausted, having spent so much time focused on my Blue Lodge and focused on being a worshipful master. Right? But usually, the thing about degrees that people seem to not understand, that guy, is they are like a 33rd degree doesn't have any authority or power over a Blue Lodge. 33rd is a reference to Scottish Rite. Right? I've sat in lodges many times with 33-degree Masons. They don't actually have any say or control over, it's the Scottish Rite side of things. The same thing with York Rite. Aubrey Fletcher says, hello, my brother. Hello, Aubrey. How is it going? I hope you're doing well. Thank you for being here. To everybody watching this, if you're new, please take a moment, hit the like and subscribe button. I would truly appreciate it. And Aubrey, how is it going for you? How is your day treating you? Still Wakes the Deep Fan says hello. I'm going to call you Still because that's hard to say. Please hit that like and subscribe button, Still Wakes, and I hope that you're doing well. Are you saying I'm KSI's twin? Because I don't think so, but if I was KSI's twin, hopefully he'd send me some money, so that would be nice. I am not. I am just a man who loves chatting about Freemasonry. Teach us the special handshakes. We got Etham on the screen as well. Yes, Courtney, I was very sad about Hulk Hogan passing away as well. As a, child of 1983, born 1983, I absolutely loved Hulk Hogan growing up. He was my favorite wrestler, and so I felt incredibly sad to see that. Sherry Lewis says hello. Hello, Cher. I hope you hit the like and subscribe button. Thank you for being here. Sean, no worries. I appreciate that you're back in the first place. So, that guy, teach us the special handshakes. I was very sad about Ozzy too. So I will not teach you guys the special handshakes. That guy, let me ask you a question before I answer. I'm curious what you would say. I think I can guess. But why do you think I will not teach you the special handshake? Or not just teach anybody on stream the special handshakes? I'm going to guess what you might say, but let me know in the chat. Yeah, so I was very sad because, again, Hulk Hogan, growing up, loving professional wrestling. Hulk Hogan was the man. Awesome, Aubrey. That's awesome to hear. Congratulations. Keep up the great work. I mean, it sounds like you're doing a great job. Because they're secret for a reason. Vader's pit boss. I don't know if Vader's references Vader the wrestler. Yes, the Masonic handshakes. We talk about Freemason. Yes, I'm a Freemason. I've been a Freemason since 2007. Thank you, Cruz. Hello, Dad. So I've been a Freemason for almost 20 years, and on these streams I talk about Freemasonry. All right, so there's no answer from whomever that was, and I can think of the name now, from that guy. No, the special handshake is not fingering. Harley Race is incredible. Harley Race is a champ. So no, Loli Futurani girl. The reason why is, I've used this example many times. If you have a family recipe, like your grandfather gave it to your father, gave it to you, gave it to your gave it to your kids or whatever it is, you're not going to share that family recipe on the internet or share it with the public. Not because there's anything nefarious within the family recipe, but rather because it's a way to maintain the connections and the bonds between different members of the family and different generations of the family. Freemasonry, like we have rings, we have jewels and stuff like that, but that's just stuff. Really, what we have to pass on to our future generations of Masons and to bond us to each other is our ritual, is our, quote unquote secret handshakes. I mean, it's one of those situations where, like, what ritual does, the purpose of ritual, I truly believe this. I think this is true for human history. The purpose of ritual is to bond people through shared experiences, to create friendships and brotherhoods through shared experiences. So I go through the same Masonic rituals as all my brothers. If I start to share that with everybody else, it stops to be less important. It feels like the connections are less. So that's why I choose not to share the handshakes, the modes of recognitions, the rituals, because in my opinion, it reduces the bond of brotherhood between me and my brothers. You know? Oh, sure. When I was growing up in 1983, I mean, I was a huge Hulk Hogan fan. You kind of had to be in 1983. I switched over to Bret Hart. My current favorite wrestler of all time is John Cena. That guy. Yeah, we have Masonic rituals. I mean, I'm happy to say it. Many groups have rituals. I mean, if you go to court, the way they start and end court, standing for the judge, that's a ritual, right? The way that you swear on a Bible to tell the truth, that's a ritual. Ritual is not a bad word by any means. I cannot tell you how to hex your crush. I got no idea, and no, I'm not married. Aren't the rituals meant to recreate moments in Masonic history? Some of the rituals are meant to recreate moments in Masonic history, not all of them. I mean, roughly speaking, the metaphor, I think that's most apt in my experience, and again, keep in mind, not all Masonic rituals are the same. They change jurisdiction to jurisdiction. The Masonic ritual in Ontario is different than the ritual in Texas, is different than the ritual in New York, is different than the ritual in England, right? But some of them are meant to recreate moments, not in real Masonic history. True Masonic history started in 1717, but rather metaphorical history, right? Metaphorical or mythological history that was kind of created in the 1717s and past to provide kind of certain lessons on morality, and again, more important than that, to just bond us through brotherhood, which is something I think is wonderful. No witchcraft, and thank you, Arthur. Witchcraft would make it more fun. We do have quote unquote Wiccan Freemasons. To be a Freemason, you must believe in a supreme being, but the nature of that supreme being is completely up to you and your kind of faith. So we have Christian, Muslim, Jewish, like I said, Wiccan. We have, spiritual, such as myself. It depends how atheist you are, Vader's pit boss. So I know many people who would probably define themselves as atheists in any other context become Freemasons because their supreme being is the mathematical or the rules that govern the universe, kind of like how Einstein believed in God. Right? Einstein believed that you could define God as the equations and mathematics that govern the universe. And I've seen that work to get in. It really would depend on the lodge you're joining and how they would define it, how they would accept the definition of supreme being. So that would be each lodge's to decide. Clorox bleach. Do Freemasons believe in women's rights? So the thing about Freemasonry, so first, I'm a Freemason and I believe in women's rights. I mean, I speak for myself, but I believe in the right to choose. I believe in, I don't know what it like, voting, all of that jazz. I certainly do. But when people ask like the question, do Freemasons believe in X? The thing to keep in mind is Freemasonry is not a religion. It has no set of beliefs, nor is it a political movement or anything like that. So there are approximately 850,000 Freemasons in the States, give or take, which means there are 850,000 different views on Freemasonry. It's not a single, it's kind of like asking, what do football players believe in, right? What is a football player? Someone who plays on a football team. What is a Freemason? Someone who belongs to a Masonic lodge. But what each Freemason believes, politically, religiously, spiritually, is going to vary Mason to Mason. So, yeah, no worries. It depends. There are some Masons and Masonic lodges who have very kind of strict-ish views on what constitutes a supreme being. I'm much more liberal, and most lodges are much more liberal now in how they define supreme being and what they would consider supreme being to be. So you can always give it a shot. By the way, please hit the like and subscribe buttons, just like Vader's pit boss. I believe in God. I'm Japanese. Okay, well, welcome. I don't know if you are here from Japan, but if you are, welcome. Wherever you're from, whether you live in Japan or you've moved, thank you for being here. Do 360-degree Masons exist? No. The highest degree in Freemasonry is the 3rd degree. That's the Master Mason degree. After that, you can join appendant bodies, and the highest you can go there is 33rd degree. But there's no 360, and honestly, I find the degree stuff is really more of interest to, if anything, kind of conspiracy theorists, as opposed to kind of legit Masons. But after you get the 3rd degree, it doesn't mean nearly as much as the conspiracy theorists like to think it believes. Spirit, welcome. I got a big forehead. I can accept it. I can accept it. Sure. I mean, I appreciate you being here. And we have somebody from Osaka, Japan. That is awesome. Freemasonry is pretty big in Japan, I understand. Or at least it's like known in Japan. I think the Grand Lodge of Japan is known as like a very fancy pants place. Because again, Freemasonry in Japan is different than Freemasonry in Ontario. Freemasonry is not a global, it's not a thing where you have one global entity controlling all the different Masonic lodges and bodies. Rather, it's a conglomeration and patchwork of different jurisdictions and groups that all in some way or another trace their origins to stonemason guilds of the 11th century. But welcome and thank you everybody for being here. Please take a moment, hit the like button, hit the subscribe button. Let me know how you found our stream. Were you just streaming? Do you search Freemasonry? Every country, not as many as I'd like, unfortunately. But I'd like to visit more. Country-wise, it's been, well, Canada, obviously, the States, Mexico, Brazil, and the Philippines for Freemasonry. Now, to travel to the Philippines and to Rio, I had stopovers in South Korea and Dubai, but I don't know UAE, but I don't know if that counts as visiting for Masonry. Those are just layovers. In terms of states I visited, or provinces, then the list gets a little bit longer. I don't even know them off the top of my head. Ontario, Manitoba, Michigan, Chicago, Illinois, Missouri, Florida, California, Texas, Nevada, Arizona, a bunch I'm missing, Indianapolis, or Indiana, I should say. So a whole bunch. I wish the work culture, I heard the work culture in Japan is crazy. I mean, I admire it because I admire people who work hard, but not at the expense of your health and well-being, that's for sure. Brother, what is a good book? I mean, obviously, I kind of start with recommending, especially for non-Masons, Freemasonry for Dummies. It's a great kind of introduction to Freemasonry in a kind of an easy to understand way. Yes, I actually been to New York, actually. But very briefly, I had a chance to see the lodge room, but not take part in a meeting. Welcome, Giovanni, another Japanese audience member. That is very cool. Another good book, though, and I'm just trying to remember the author's name now. Give me 1 second to find it. I'll find it online because he was a really cool author. I hope that from Japan you'll hit the like and subscribe button and let me know how it's going. All right, we have got, oops, nope, that's not it. Oh my gosh, now it's going to drive me crazy. It was Island Freemasonry. It was written by, and there's also Sins of Our Masonic Forefathers, John Bizak. Look up some stuff by John Bizak. He's a great writer. I would love to visit London. I would absolutely love to. I visited London years ago, but not for Freemasonry. Actually, I forgot. I've been to England as well. I've been to a Sonic Lodge in Haltwhistle, Northumberland. So, I guess 5 countries: Canada, um, Canada, America, Mexico, Brazil, Philippines, England. So six countries. Giovanni, never been to Rhode Island. I know I've talked to you before about Rhode Island. I'd love to go there. I mean, England is special. Things are as special as you want them to be, right? The specialness lies in the observer, not the observed. Not to be too philosophical. I often describe it, it's music, right? Like, I don't know what your favorite song is. My favorite song is Simple Man by Leonard Skinner. My second favorite song is Prodigal by Blacktop Mojo. I didn't decide before I heard the song that I'm going to make this a special song to me, or I'm going to try to make this song special. I'm going to try to like this song. It's like falling in love. You just do. You don't try to fall in love. You just fall in love. You like it, right? I like the song. When I moved to, or when I traveled to Glenview, Illinois and Chicago, Illinois for the first time, it was the same thing. I didn't try to fall in love with that town or with that city. I just did. And for London, it's going to be the same thing. It's like some people, based on their personality, based on what's happening in their lives at the time, based on a million other factors, are going to travel to London and fall in love with it. Other people are going to travel to London and not think it's special, right? There's no right or wrong answer to these things. When it comes to what you love, um, don't try to love things, just love things. And if London is a place that you love, then that's all the better. And I'm sure there are many people who love London. Um, if you go to London, wear medieval armor, protect from knife. I don't know about that stuff, lowly. Like, I've been to places that I'm told are super dangerous. I was in, I've been to Chicago, Detroit. They tell me those places are dangerous. I was in Rio de Janeiro. I was told those places are super dangerous. I was in the Philippines, and I've never felt unsafe. So, I think sometimes that I've been to San Francisco. I think you just got to be smart. You just got to be careful. But I wouldn't be afraid to be in London. If anybody tries anything, then so be it. But I'm not going to be afraid or tolerate, Let's be kind to our London brothers. Yes, up 35. Please subscribe. Be a sport and subscribe is what I assume he's saying. There you go. Lived in London for 30 years, never seen a knife in person. I was in Manila. I was in Manila, baby. Um, if anybody knows the rest of that song, feel free to add it in. I'm Manila, baby. But I loved Manila. I was amazed at how densely populated it was. Like, it was insanely populated. It's so dense, but it was still, everybody was friendly, everybody was nice. I loved that. So it was great to see everybody. Well, he has his own experiences, right? You got to be careful with that because he's there. So you have to take what he's saying, what he's seeing with. It's kind of like people who are not Freemasons, but say they know about Freemasonry, right? You got to kind of be willing to accept the fact that if he's there, he probably knows something that's going on at least. CSGO. Well, in that case, go to sleep. Just before you go to sleep, make sure you hit the like and subscribe button. But then, yes, get yourself to sleep. You sleep better when you hit the like and subscribe button, is what no doctors have ever said. But nonetheless, is what I choose to believe. So hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, and let me know how it's going. Well, again, Loli, you'd want to be careful. I mean, I'm sure your uncle has his own experiences, but you want to be very careful that, if somebody lives there, they probably know, they have at least their views. At least England has strict gun laws. Yes, which, again, I've been to many places in the States with very, relatively speaking, lax gun laws. I kind of prefer stricter gun laws. Having said all of that, whatever works. Nate Doobie, yes. R.I.P. Ozzy, R.I.P. Hulk Hogan. I agree. Ozzy, one of the best rock and rollers of all time. Um, Ozzy Osbourne. So Ozzy Osbourne, one of the best rock and rollers of all time. Hulk Hogan, you can think what you want to think of him personally. I was not a fan of a lot of the things that happened, but nonetheless, or that he said, or that he did later in life, but nonetheless, there's an entire generation of professional wrestling fans who grew up watching him. Somebody asked me above, to my knowledge, Hulk Hogan was not a Freemason. So, no worries, Aubrey. Thank you for being here. I appreciate it very much. And yeah, we keep doing these live streams. I got some interviews coming up. So, Brian Testerman, I do have a big forehead, but that shouldn't stop you from hitting the like and subscribe button. Mike D, I agree. R.I.P. Hulk Hogan. For a lot of people, the reason that they are professional wrestling fans was Hulk Hogan. I suppose my favorite hobby would be Freemasonry, though I'm trying to make it a job. I suppose beyond that, professional wrestling, scary movies. I love scary movies. So yeah, I have a lot of hobbies that I love. Reading, I enjoy that. So there's a bunch. Welcome. If you're just joining us, please take a moment, hit the like button, hit the subscribe button. Let me know how it's going, if there's anything that you want to chat about when it comes to Freemasonry. I'm going to start on my main topic. I usually start about an hour in. We're just going to wait to see who else finds us. That is awesome, Spirit. Hogan versus... I remember Zeus. Zeus was huge. He was a big deal to me and all my friends. I remember watching the Zeus... remember the Macho Man, Zeus, and Scary Sherry promos? What an amazing promo Scary Sherry was. I feel like she's super underappreciated in 2025. She was one of the greats. And her promos were incredible. My favorite scary movie is Nightmare on Elm Street 4 or Nightmare on Elm Street 5. The WWE nerd, yo, I'm guessing WWE, you know about Hulk Hogan. I'm excited about that as well. I love your J-Mate Ranked Special Edition Duel and... Well, I can't read all of that, but Siegel, nonetheless, hit the like and subscribe button. John Cena. I even have a tattoo that says the next one that's inspired by John Cena. Because if people would ask John Cena his favorite match, he would always say the next one. So I got a tattoo saying the next one. And when people ask me my favorite Masonic moment, I'll always say the next one. I have not, but I've read the book. So yeah, it's a pretty challenging book to read, especially because you know that those type of things do happen and have happened. So tough read. I can't imagine what the book was like. Tough read. I can't imagine what the movie was like. I've seen clips of it here and there, but. Welcome if you are just joining us, WWE nerd Mike D. Please take a moment if you're not done so yet. Hit the like button, hit the subscribe button. We are here to chat about Freemasonry. We're going to give it a few more minutes before I start talking about the main subject, which is going to be talking about the Masque of the Red Death by Edgar Allan Poe. Supposedly he is R. Hughes. That's what I heard on Twitter. You always want to be careful because the internet's not always right, but it sounds like he is, and if so, I'd be very sad about it. Johnny Thunder. I'm considering petitioning for Freemasonry, although I'm finding certain things I've read or listened to have made me look at many religious and morality tales as allegorical and not literal. Well, Freemasonry is a real thing. It's not in and of itself allegorical, but certainly the ritual and the tales are allegorical. That's what Freemasonry is, right? It veils its stories and its lessons in allegory. Different lessons in different jurisdictions, but it's all allegorical, right? We often describe it as, being veiled in allegory. But allegory is good. That's how people learn. People tend to learn better through story and metaphor sometimes than literal. Hi, Elgin Investing. Happy Pioneer Day. Happy Pioneer Day. Do you know if any Masonic lodges have mentioned anything about Pioneer Day? Like maybe some posts on social media, for example? And welcome. Hi, it's great. Hi, Altitude Investing. It's great to have you here. Johan Vargas says hello. Welcome. I hope you'll also hit the like and subscribe button. I am a traveling man. How's it going? I typed in Happy Pioneer Day Freemasonry. I have not got any responses thus far saying that like Freemasons are posting about Pioneer Day. Saphir says hello. Hello, Saphir. I hope you hit the like and subscribe button. Let me know how it's going, if there's anything that you guys want to chat about when it comes to Freemasonry. I don't know if I'll do my 1 a.m. stream. We shall see. Oh. No, can't find anything about Freemasons. Freemasons should be posting something about Pioneer Day, by the way. Just waiting to see if anybody else jumps in the chat before I start on the main subject. Music. I like everybody. If you're asking for my sexual orientation, then I'm straight. Not that that matters to being a Freemason. You can be gay or straight and be a Freemason. Ages ago, I remember visiting Scotland briefly when I was in northern England, but I can't remember even the context around it. Okay, I mean, yeah, I am not by any means a biblical scholar, so I'm very hesitant to get, too into that stuff, because obviously I'm not a biblical scholar. I tend to view a lot of religious teachings as being allegorical as opposed to literal. Myself, but yeah, I do not know. Yeah, like I said, I think a lot of those teachings I tend to view as allegorical. Welcome. If you're just joining us, please take a moment and hit the like button and subscribe button. Let me know how it's going and if there's anything about Freemasonry that you want to chat about. On the sixth day, Ihan said, "Thus hearken, my child, and God, no cap, do the one." Well, I don't think that's actually what he said, but, okay. The name Cameron from Scotland is derived from the Scottish Gaelic name Camshron. I did not know that. I knew it was Scottish in origin, but I did not know that it was I did not know that it was from Camshron, so that's very cool. Freemason's got a lot of Scottish origins in it and to it, which is really awesome about it. Please take a moment, hit that like and subscribe button. Thank you, Sean. I mean, I mention it all the time because people come in and out of the stream a lot, and it's one of those situations where, I don't know who's going to be in and out. Might be in for a minute, might be in for an hour. So I'm always going to be, every periodically say, please like and subscribe, just to catch people if they've joined for a couple minutes. But obviously, I am very saddened, as we all are, with the passing of Hulk Hogan. As a longtime wrestling fan, he was the guy who, like, when you talk about first interested in professional wrestling as a kid, first a fan. I think for most people born in the 80s, certainly the early 80s, such as myself, it was Hulk Hogan that first got us interested in it. So. The other thing you can do, Sean, if you're interested, is you can support me on Patreon, patreon.com/square and compass. You can join for free. You don't have to, necessarily, pay a monthly fee. You can just join for free. It just helps with the algorithm. So, let's get 5 more minutes, then let's start on my main topic, which is going to be the Masque of the Red Death and why I think there's lessons from or for Freemasonry therein. Awesome. Let me actually then just leave the link down there so people can find it once more. Patreon.com/square and compass. Patreon.com/square and compass. And yeah, you can join completely for free. So, like, it's 5 more minutes, then we're going to start talking. By the way, just out of curiosity, Sean, have you ever read The Masque of Red Death before? That actually should be my poll question. It's a great. I mean, I like Edgar Allan Poe. As someone who loves scary things. Morpheus, yes, yes, my brain is huge. So please hit the like and subscribe button. As someone who loves all things scary and horror, I guess it would make sense that I would love Edgar Allan Poe and really enjoy The Masque of Red Death. It's a great moral lesson in there. We talk about allegory. We talked about allegory above. Allegory is a big part of the Masque of Red Death and Freemasonry as well. It's another connection you can see. Never read Schopenhauer, but I'd check him out. Do you have any recommendations? Joe Louise, I am Mason. Awesome. I am as well since 2007. Oh my gosh, what's my biggest regret? That's a whole thing and a half. I mean, I try not to think in terms of regrets because everything I did, even the mistakes I've made, hopefully, my biggest regret would be not learning from a mistake. Hey, man, Freemasonry and human nature and I think Freemasonry is a reflection of human nature. The desire for humans to belong to something, to be part of something, that's kind of our human nature, is that, right? All things silver, I 100% agree with that. He was one of the greatest. So, growing up, I would not have been a wrestling fan were it not for Hulk Hogan. All things silver, welcome to the stream. Please let me know how you're doing. I hope you'll be so kind as hit the like and subscribe button. And yeah, follow my stream. I would truly, truly appreciate it. Follow my channel, I should say. I'm going to have some more episodes being released soon. That's going to be really awesome. So please make sure to check it out. Daniel Lemons, what is any of our purposes on the internet? I mean, my purpose for this channel, Square and Compass Promotions, is to explore the ways Freemasonry was and is relevant to the communities in which it was located. I do that through live streams, through chatting with people. I also do that through regularly scheduled interviews with people and producing content therein, as well as to hopefully connect with people in general. So that is my purpose on the internet. Thank you, Danielle. Or Daniel, if you want to help me with that, please hit the like and subscribe button. Foxbox K, no to both of those things. Although there's nothing wrong with being trans from Foxbox. Grand Lodge of England has a very, I think, the best policy on trans membership for Freemasonry. I hope that you will, everybody, hit the like and subscribe button. Any questions about Freemasonry, please let me know. And Daniel Lemons, God bless, thank you again for that. This channel is about Freemasonry. I've been a Freemason since 2007, and it's the thing I love to talk about. What is the difference between a learning opportunity and a mistake? Well, I mean, I think learning opportunity is something in which and where you, I mean, they both start the same. The difference is a learning opportunity is when you take the mistake that you made and reflect on it and try to improve for the next time. Whereas a mistake is where you don't reflect upon it or where you blame other people for it. Well, I think Foxbox, when you say can a trans woman join, so the best policy in my mind on trans and Freemasonry comes from the Grand Lodge of England. Because one thing, Foxbox, that you need to remember about Freemasonry is there are many different jurisdictions. So the rules in Texas are different than the rules in England, are different than the rules in Ontario. Texas, I mean, I think the United Grand Lodge of England has the best rules as to Freemasonry, which is if you are born a female but then transition to male, you can join and you're part of the brotherhood. If you are born male and transition to female, you can actually join the Order of Women Freemasons. Or if you are born male, become a Freemason, and then transition, you remain a Freemason. And I think that is the correct approach to take. That is my favorite approach. And that is out of the Grand Lodge of England. And they were really the first ones to come up with a policy on trans and Freemasonry. And I think the trans, basically it says, there is no exclusion of trans membership, which I think is exactly the right approach to take. Isaac, I mean, Freemasonry is not magic of any sort, Jewish or otherwise, nor is it a religion. So it is not Jewish. It is neither Jewish nor magic. We have Jewish members as well as any other, as well as all other, kind of religious membership, as well as those who are spiritual but do not believe necessarily in any particular religion. All right, Sid, I believe you're speaking of Hulk Hogan. If you are speaking of, if John Cena actually passed away, then that makes me very sad because he is my favorite wrestler of all time. I don't believe that is the case, though. Connor Sillers, I am a dork, but that does not reflect Freemasonry. Freemasons aren't dorks. I am just a dork who happens to be a Freemason. Isaac, I have no idea who or what Adam Cadmon is. And again, you have to keep in mind there are different jurisdictions. We have different rules on these things. So Freemasonry does not have a single set of rules for every jurisdiction. I am a Freemason, I promise you. I even have my dues cards and everything. Yes, I was very sad by that, Ozzy. R.I.P. to Hulk Hogan. You know, one of the greats. I grew up and I was born 83. If you were born early 80s, you loved Hulk Hogan as a child if you loved professional wrestling. You couldn't not, at least in my experience. Um, so, Connor Sillers, when you say I'm not a Freemason, can I ask why you would say that? What would make you think I was not a Freemason? I appreciate the skepticism. Being skeptical online is actually a really good thing. Oftentimes, we take too much of what we see as immediately true. Ricky B, I wish you could. I'm not sure in terms of you could what, but I hope you'll hit the like and subscribe button very much. And thank you for being here. I'm one subscriber away from 2,380 subs, so let's see what you can do. I agree. It's been a rough week. Wait, Theo? Which Theo? I knew about Ozzy and Hulk. I did not remember any Theo. Jeff, please be so kind at the like and subscribe button. My head is awesome, all right? My head. Nobody clip that and make funny jokes, please. No, Theo. I'm not aware of any Theo Malcolm. Oh, Malcolm Jamal Warner. Okay, Theo from the Cosby Show. Honestly, he's one of those guys who I didn't realize it until I started looking into it. He had a pretty great acting career post Cosby Show. It was kind of. I always wonder. I never saw any interviews by him. I always wondered how he kind of feels about or how any actor feels when so much of their career ends up being focused on one particular piece of media or show. Because he did a lot of really great shows afterwards. He did this science fiction show with Luke Perry that I really, really liked. And he did a medical drama as well. I was never huge into. I've never been a sitcom fan really at all, to be honest, with the exception of I really enjoyed Community, and for a time I liked New Girl. I never got into Friends or Seinfeld or The Cosby Show. I was always more like an hour-long drama or horror guy. Welcome back, your local Spurs fan. But yeah, when I think of him, I didn't think of him from. I think it was called Joshua. It was this science fiction show he did 2 seasons of. What is up, your local Spurs fan? Welcome back. I was a big Star Trek fan. A big Star Trek The Next Generation fan. When I was a kid, it was near top, one of my favorites. I kind of fell away from sci-fi and went more to the horror direction, but I would say Captain Jean-Luc Picard was a hero of mine growing up. Oftentimes I try to model kind of my leadership style on him. Can I cuss for you? I would never cuss. So no, but I hope you will hit the like and subscribe button. Nerado says hello. Hello, please hit the like and subscribe button. Go ahead, the moderation should take care of it. All right, we're going to go another exactly, let's say, 5 minutes, and then we're going to start actually going through the Masque of the Red Death. Why I think it is a Masonic lesson laden story, if you want to put it that way. I did, but they'll come back or they won't. I mean, people come and go. Win some, lose some, right? You can't win them all or keep them all, and that's okay. But I do hope everybody is doing well. Please take a moment, hit that like and subscribe button. I mean, I don't know if there's a good or a bad comment you can give me, Vayuda. I do hope you'll hit the like and subscribe button. Sharon Fox says, hey, hello, Sharon Fox. How is it going for you? I hope you'll be so kind as hit the like and subscribe button for me. I do not know a song called Little. By the way, I do hope that if you live in Windsor or anywhere that's experiencing massive heat, I hope that you will be very careful. And, heat stroke is a real thing. So be careful. Drink lots of water. Take care of yourself. Honestly, I just thought when it came to Freemasonry, we needed more podcast space. And so I just started. Grabbed my phone, did a lot of horrible interviews at the start, a lot of horrible... I didn't know what I was doing in terms of editing or anything like that. But like everything else, you kind of just figure it out. And I'm still figuring it out as I go. I'm a big believer in just jump and build or construct the parachute while you're falling. I mean, I don't want to play a song and get copyrighted, Sharon. Sorry, can't do it. Too concerned about copyrights, but I appreciate you asking me, and I do appreciate being here. Fair enough. At least you came, At least you were here. I do have a laptop, but I tend to stream more from my cell phone. I mean, I'll play it after. I'll look it up after. I'm not going to play it during the stream. I tend to stream more from my cell phone than from my laptop. But every now and then I'll laptop stream. It just depends on if I need to share the screen, if there's something I really want to do, kind of thing, Last investor, 88. I hope not the last investor, because I'm a Freemason and because the purpose of Scoring Compass Promotions is to discuss Freemasonry and explore the many ways Freemasonry was and is relevant to the communities in which it's located, as well as post stories of Masonic interest. So, last investor and Saquantivius, I cannot pronounce that. I'm very sorry. Please hit the like and subscribe button. Yes, he did. I'm very sad about that. I think we all are very sad about that. If you're born in 83, he's one of the greats, one of the legends. Okay, let's talk about The Masque of Red Death by Edgar Allan Poe. Why I view it as being a story which has within it Masonic lessons, or lessons that Freemasons can and should take with them. If you're interested in special clubs, Last Investor, then subscribe to this podcast. Yes, I was very sad about Philip passing away as well. King Von Edith, please hit like and subscribe. I was very sad as well about Hulk Hogan passing away. All right. The Masque of Red Death. The Red Death has long devastated the country. No, I'm reading this from the Poe Museum, by the way, .org. No pestilence has ever been so fatal or so hideous. Blood was its avatar and its seal, the redness and horror of blood. There were sharp pains and sudden dizziness, and then profuse bleeding at the pores with disillusion. The scarlet stains upon the body, and especially upon the face of the victim, were the pest ban which shut him out from aid and from sympathy of his fellow men. And the whole seizure, progress, and termination of the disease were the incidents of half an hour. But the Prince Prospero was happy and dauntless and sagacious. When his dominions were depopulated, he summoned to his presence 1,000 hale and light-hearted friends from among the knights and dames in his court, and with these retired to the deep seclusions of one of his castellated abbeys. This was an extensive and magnificent structure, the creation of the prince's own eccentric yet august taste. A strong and lofty wall girdled it in. This wall had gates of iron. The courtiers, having entered, brought furnaces and massy hammers and welded the bolts. They resolved to leave means neither of ingress or egress to the sudden impulses of despair from without, or of frenzy from within. The abbey was amply provisioned, with such precautions the courtiers might bid defiance to the contagion. The external world could take care of itself. So that right there, I think, is the first kind of mark or lesson that we need to give to Freemasons. The external world could take care of itself, right? I think we in Freemasonry often have a tendency to view the external world as being kind of something that can take care of itself, something that we as Freemasons within our lodges need not concern ourselves with. And for me, for my opinion, you cannot separate the success of a Masonic lodge from the success of a country or of a city or of the community in which it's located. Or, to put it in Edgar Allan Poe terms, you cannot separate the success of a Masonic body from the success of an external world, right? It's very easy to become, shall we say, overly insular, overly, concerned with what's happening within the lodge and not spending and focusing enough time on what is happening outside of the lodge. So I think that is a lesson that we need to take in mind, not just for Freemasonry, but for everything. Liv Morgan is awesome. I don't believe that's actually is you, Liv Morgan, but nonetheless, I hope you'll hit the like and subscribe button. Last investor, do you need an observer in order for the... You don't need an observer, but you need to care about it, because sooner or later, the external world will affect your internal world. Like, whether you observe it or not, and that's the whole point of the Masque of the Red Death, sooner or later, the external world is going to make its way into lodge. You can say we're going to ignore the economic conditions of the external world. However, sooner or later, the economic conditions of the external world are going to start to seep into the lodge, whether it be through decreased membership, whether it be through decreased lodge attendance, whether it be through decreased funds for your building, etc., etc., etc. So it's not about observing it, it's about accepting the fact that it's going to make it, whether you care or not about the external world, the external world is going to care about you and your lodge. Well, thank you, Liv Morgan. At least appreciate the subscribe button. For the record, I do not consider gay an insult. Nothing wrong with being gay. There are many straight, gay, Freemasons, trans, right? Freemasonry does not discriminate based on LGBTQ. All right. With such precautions, the courtiers might bid defiance to contagion. The external world could take care of itself. I'm not so sure that's true, last investor. I understand the idea, but I mean, whether I choose to believe in an illness or not, if I get cancer, it's going to affect me, whether I choose to believe I have it or not. You know, one of my favorite, we talked above about this idea, one of my favorite biblical stories, and again, I'm not a biblical scholar by any means, is it was Jesus, right? I believe it was the story of Jesus. He was taken up to the top of a very tall building by, I think, the devil, and he said, you know, if you're the Son of God, jump off the building. You know, God will protect you or help you live. And the response is, right, don't make a mockery of the Lord. I think what he's trying to say there is, like, whatever we may or may not believe, the universe, the world exists with certain rules, with certain order to it. You know, we don't get to just believe whatever we want and then hope that those rules don't affect us. We can believe we can fly all we want to, but sooner or later, gravity is going to have a very different thing to say to us. And it's our responsibility to try and make sure that we are paying attention to such rules, and the rules of the world. You know, if you have a contagion, you can try to lock yourself away as much as you want. Sooner or later, you need to accept, you know, the fact that it's going to get in, and then that's why you need to care about things like vaccinations and hand washing and all the rest of it. It was towards the close of his... So, the external world could take care of itself. Thank you, Sens fan. Please hit like and subscribe. The prince had provided all appliances of pleasure. There were buffoons, there were improvisatorio, there were ballet dancers, there were musicians, there were cards, there was beauty, there was wine. All these and security were within. Without was the Red Death. Deshaun, but you serve the devil, but that Bible account? Do you mean by that Bible account or but that Bible account? And again, I mean, I'm not a biblical scholar. When I heard that story, that is how I interpreted it, to mean you have a responsibility to, you know, not make a mockery of the rules and order that exists within the world. Or do you mean I serve the devil because I'm a Freemason? And by the way, Deshaun, I hope you hit the like and subscribe button. It was towards the close of the 5th or 6th month of his seclusion, and while the pestilence raged most fiercely abroad, the Prince Prospero entertained his thousands of friends at a masked ball of the most unusual magnificence. It was a voluptuous scene, that masquerade. But first let me tell you of the rooms in which it was held. There were 7. By the way, 7 is a very important Masonic number. Edgar Allan Poe was not himself a Freemason, but he did write about Freemasons, and he had a Masonic character in the Casket of Amontillado, which makes me wonder if the reason he picked 7 rooms was because he knows that number has Masonic significance. Not even directly, but just it was in his mind that it was Masonically significant. But first, let me tell you the rooms in which it was held. There were 7, an imperial suite. In many palaces, however, such suites form a long and straight vista, while the folding... I'm talking about the Masque of Red Death and Freemasonry. While the folding doors slide back nearly to the walls on either end, so that the view of the whole extent is scarcely impeded. Here the case was very different, as might have been expected from Duke's love of the bizarre. The apartments were so irregularly disposed that the vision embraced but little more than one at a time. There was a sharp turn at every 20 or 30 yards, and at each turn a novel effect. To the right and left, in the middle of each wall, a tall and narrow Gothic window looked out upon a closed corridor which pursued the windings of the suite. These windows were of stained glass, whose color varied in accordance with the prevailing hue of the decorations of the chamber into which it opened. That at the eastern extremity was hung, for example, in blue, a vividly blue were its windows. The second chamber was purple, its ornaments and tapestries, and here the panes were purple. The third was green throughout, and so were the casements. The fourth was furnished and lit with orange, the fifth with white, the sixth with violet. The 7th apartment was closely shrouded in black velvet. Tapestries hung all over the ceiling and down the walls. falling in heavy folds upon a carpet of the same material and hue. But in this chamber only, the color of the windows failed to correspond with the decorations. The panes here were scarlet, a deep blood color. Now in no one of the 7 apartments was there any lamp or candelabrum. Amid the profusion of golden ornaments that lay scattered to and fro or depended from the roof, there was no light of any kind emanating from lamp or candle within the suite of chambers. He was already a Freemason when he started writing the Mores and Dogma. Viuda, I mean, I'm just right now reading this story called The Masque of Red Death by Edgar Allan Poe. I'm trying to link it into Masonic ideals, which I think, or Masonic, kind of why I think Freemasons should consider, in some ways, The Masque of Red Death to be a warning as to mistakes that we in our Masonic lodges can make, such as desiring to shut out the world and not consider how the outside world affects us in Freemasonry, as well as, in this case, what we see is a reminder of the importance of the architecture that exists within buildings and how the architecture of buildings affects the manner in which we kind of operate. Jesus' authority in what way? Again, as someone who's not himself a biblical scholar, I'm not sure what you mean by give Jesus authority. Is that like the Luciferian idea of Lucifer as almost like a, turn the light on, as almost a kind of Prometheus type figure? One second, just eating a cookie. Prakash, I do not know what you're saying, but I hope you'll hit the like and subscribe button. I'm just one more second. As a fan of the Enlightenment, I mean, the fan of Descartes. I am doing well, Prakash. Thank you so much for being here. I truly appreciate it. All right, going back to what I was saying, reading The Masque of Red Death. But in the corridors that follow the suite, there stood opposite to each window a heavy tripod, bearing a brazier of fire that projected its rays through the tinted glass, and so glaringly illumined the room, which is a Masonic word, by the way, and thus were produced a multitude of gaudy and fantastic appearances. But in the western or black chamber, the effect of the fire light that streamed upon the dark hangings through the blood-tinted panes were ghastly in the extreme, and produced so wild a look upon the countenances of those who entered that there were few of the company bold enough to set foot within its precincts at all. I mean, beliefs are key. Believe. Don't try to believe, just believe. Believe things will be okay, right? You might as well. It was in this apartment also that there stood against the western wall a gigantic clock of ebony. Its pendulum swung to and fro with a dull, heavy, monotonous clang, and when its minute hand made the circuit of the face, and the hour was to be stricken, there came forth from the brazen lungs of the clock a sound which was clear and loud and deep and exceedingly musical, but of so peculiar a note and emphasis that, at each lapse of an hour, The musicians in the orchestra were constrained to pause momentarily in their performance, to hearken to the sound, and thus the waltzers perforce ceased their evolutions, and there was a brief disconcert of the whole gay company. And, while the chimes of the clock yet rang, it was observed that the giddiest grew pale, and that the more aged and sedate passed their hands over their brows, as if in confused reverie or meditations. Welcome back, Johnny. Good to have you back. But when the echoes had fully ceased, a light laughter at once pervaded the assembly. The musicians looked at each other and smiled, as if at their own nervousness and folly, and made whispering vows, each to the other, that the next chiming of the clock should produce in them no similar emotion. And then, after the lapse of 60 minutes, which embraced 3,600 seconds, there came yet another chiming of the clock, and then were the same disconcert and tremulousness and meditation as before. So, the average age right now for Freemasons in Texas, I was told, is 67. We went from 45,000 members to 28,000 members in Ontario since I've joined. And there are a lot of Masons who seem to be content to try the same things over and over again. But even with those Masons, there are moments you can see the discomfort and concern as to where Freemasonry is going. Yes, Rondo. And so this is another lesson in Freemasonry, right? This idea of we can just dance, have fun, have events, do the same thing over and over again, and be okay, right? I think the Masons who believe that are kind of fooling themselves. And you can fool yourself for a while, but not forever. Just like in the Masque of Red Death, you can dance and sing and lock yourself in a castle, be a Prince Prospero for a minute, but sooner or later reality creeps in, as it does with the dancers and the partiers here, right? You can't ignore the problems that exist within Freemasonry or try the same things over and over again and expect it to be success. You have to be willing to try new things. Like, get willing to ask the question, how do we get Freemasonry to appeal to younger generations? Well, I think the overarching idea, Sean, has to be from the world of gamification. We have to figure out what is motivating young people, what will motivate young people to join Freemasonry. And hopefully by finding those motivations, we can somehow, attract them to it. Are they motivated by accomplishments? Are they motivated by epic meaning? Are they motivated by curiosity? And also, Sean, I don't think the biggest concern we should have right now is attracting the younger generation. I think our bigger concern needs to be getting the membership we already have to re-engage within Freemasonry. I think that needs to be our biggest concern. And that is also a question of motivations. Good for you, Johnny. That's awesome. I mean, the youth groups are a big way to attract young people back into the craft. I absolutely agree with that. And that also, I don't want to give some shout out to Rainbow, which we should love as well. Beliefs are absolutely key. So please take a moment, hit the like button, hit the subscribe button. If you are just joining, we are talking about the Masque of Red Death and some Masonic parallels that exist, including the warning. I will use the phrase, do not be a Prince Prospero. What I mean by that is let us not lock ourselves away in our Masonic lodges and care not for the outside world, or what the outside world thinks of us, or the relevance to which the outside world responds to Freemasonry. We need to pay attention to those things. We really, really do. All right. But when the echoes had fully ceased, a light laughter. I love Brazil. So I think it's fine. I mean, I'm from Canada, but the more of anything in any place is better. I know that's not a popular idea amongst some people in the right wing, but I'm a big fan of diversity. If a rhino and a human had a baby, it would be me, because rhinos are notoriously the most attractive of animals that exist. So of course it would be me. Please hit the like and subscribe button, Jason. Leticia, I was actually just in Brazil, and I loved it. I was in Brazil in Rio de Janeiro, and it was an incredibly wonderful place, and it was beautiful. Uh, Demon 2 a.m. I love 2 a.m. Please hit the like and subscribe button. I am trying to manifest. I'm working on it. But when the echoes had fully ceased, a light laughter at once pervaded the assembly. The musicians looked at each other and smiled as if at their own nervousness and folly, and made whispering vows, each to the other, that at the next chiming of the clock should produce in them no similar emotion. And then, after the lapse of 60 minutes, which embraced 3,600 seconds of time that flies, there came yet another chiming of the clock, and then were the same disconcert and tremendousness and meditation as before. But in spite of these things, it was gay and magnificent revel. The tastes of the Duke, Brazil was awesome. I wasn't there for Carnival, but I loved Rio. The tastes of the Dukes were peculiar. He had a fine eye for colors and effects. He disregarded the decor of mere fashion. His plans were bold and fiery, and his conceptions glowed with barbaric luster. There are some who would have thought him mad. His followers felt that he was not. It was necessary to hear and see and touch him to be sure that he was not. He had directed, in great part, the movable embellishments of the 7 chambers. Upon occasion of his great fete, and it was his own guiding taste which given the character to the costumes of the masqueraders. Be sure they were grotesque. There was much glare and glitter and piquancy and phantasm. Much of what has been since in Hernani. There were arabesque figures with unsuited limbs and appointments. There were delirious fancies such as madman fashions. There were much of the beautiful, much of the wanton, much of the bizarre, something of the terrible, and not a little of that which might have excited disgust. To and fro in the 7 chambers there stalked, in fact, a multitude of dreams, and these, the dreams, writhed in and about, taking hue from the rooms, causing the wild music of the orchestra to seem as the echo of their steps. And anon there strikes the ebony clock which stands in the hall of velvet. And then, momentarily, all is still, and all is silent, save the voice of the clock. The dreams are stiff frozen as they stand, but the echoes of the chime die away. They have endured but an instant and a light. Half subdued laughter floats after them as they depart. And now again the music swells, and the dreams live and writhe to and fro merrily than ever, taking hue from the many-tinted windows through which streams the rays from the tripods. But to the chamber which lies most westwardly of the 7, there are now none of the maskers who venture, for the night is waning away, and there flows a ruddier light through the blood-colored panes, and the blackness of the sable drapery appeals. And to him whose foot falls upon the sable carpet, there comes from the near clock of ebony a prince-muffled peal, more solemnly empathetic than any which reaches their ears, who indulge in the more remote gaieties of their apartments. But these other apartments were densely crowded, and in them beat feverishly the heart of life, and the revel went whirringly on, until at length was sounded the 12th hour upon the clock. And then the music ceased, as I have told, and the evolutions of the waltzers were quieted, and there was an uneasy cessation of all things as before. But now there were 12 strokes to be sounded by the bell of the clock, and thus it happened, perhaps, that more of thought crept with more of time into the meditations of the thoughtful among those who revelled, and thus again it happened, perhaps, that before the last echoes of the last chime had utterly sunk into silence, there were many individuals in the crowd who had found leisure to become aware of the presence of a masked figure, which had arrested the attention of no single individual before. And the rumor of this new presence having spread itself whisperingly around, there arose at length from the whole company a buzz or murmur, expressive at first of disapprobation and surprise, then finally of terror, of horror, and of disgust. So again, you can want to be a Prince Prospero all you want. It's not going to work. You're not going to be able to bring or ignore what's happening outside of Lodge to inside. And obviously, because this is a horror story, it's a more, the realization is terrifying, but it doesn't need to be terrifying. Like, it can be, again, you ignore the economic conditions of the community outside your lodge. Sooner or later, you're going to start to see, a reduction in your membership. Your lodge finances are going to go down. You can only ignore the outside world so much. Um, and also, from a Masonic perspective, you have to pay attention to how your Masonic building is built and how it affects the people therein. For example, maybe having no lights in the building, in this case, except for a giant candelabra, it's not the best approach. Freemasonry, are there ways our buildings are built that are not themselves conducive to a good Masonic experience or a good community experience? The whole company, indeed, seemed now deeply to feel that in the costume and bearing of this stranger, neither wit nor propriety existed. The figure was tall and gaunt, and shrouded from head to foot in the habiliments of the grave. The mask which concealed the visage was made so nearly to resemble the countenance of a stiffened corpse that the closest scrutiny must have had difficulty in detecting the cheat. And yet all this might have endured, if not approved, by the mad revelers around. Nice, Courtney. But the mummer had gone so far as to assume the type of the Red Death. His vesture was dabbed in blood, and his broad brow, and with all the features of the face, was besprinkled with the scarlet horror. When the eyes of the Prince Prospero fell upon this spectral image, he was seen to be convulsed in the first moment with a strong shudder of terror and distaste, but in the next his brow reddened with rage. "Who dares," he demanded hoarsely of the group that stood around him, "who dares thus to make a mockery of our woes? Uncase the varlet, that we may know whom we have to hang tomorrow at sunrise. From the battlements, will no one stir at my bidding? Stop him and strip him, I say, of those reddened vestures of sacrilege." It was in the eastern or blue chamber in which stood the Prince Prospero. As he uttered these words, they rang throughout the 7 rooms loudly and clearly. For the prince was a bold and robust man, and the music had become hushed at the waving of his hand. It was in the blue room where stood the prince with a group of pale courtiers by his side. At first, as he spoke, there was a slight rushing movement of his group in the direction of the intruder, who at the moment was also near at hand, and now with deliberate and stately step made closer approach to the speaker. But from certain nameless awe with which the mad assumptions of the mummers had inspired the whole party, there were found none who put forth a hand to seize him, so that, unimpeded, he passed within a yard of the prince's person, and, while the vast assembly, as if one with impulse, shrank from the centers of the rooms to the walls, he made his way uninterruptedly, but with the same solemn and measured step which had distinguished him from first, through the blue chamber to the purple, through the purple to the green, through the green to the orange, through this again to the white, and even thence to the violet, ere a decided movement had been made to arrest him. It was then, however, that the Prince Prospero, maddening with rage and shame of his own momentary cowardice, rushed hurriedly through the 6 chambers, while none followed him on account of the deadly terror that had seized upon all. He bore aloft a drawn dagger and had approached in rapid impetuously to within 3 or 4 feet of the retreating figure, when the latter, having attained the extremity of the velvet apartment, turned suddenly round and confronted his pursuer. There was a sharp cry, and the dagger dropped gleaming upon the sable carpet, upon which instantly afterwards fell prostrate in death the Prince Prospero. Then, summoning the wild courage of despair, a throng of the revelers at once threw themselves into the black apartment, and seizing the mummer, whose tall figure stood erect and motionless within the shadow of the ebony clock, grasped in unutterable horror at finding the grave cerements and corpse-like mask which they handled so violent a rudeness, untenanted by any tangible form. And now was acknowledged the presence of the Red Death. He had come like a thief in the night, and one by one dropped the revelers in the blood-bedewed halls of the revel, and died each in the despairing posture of the fall. And the life of the ebony clock went out with that of the last of the gay, and the flames of the tripods expired, and darkness and decay, and the Red Death held illimitable dominion over all. Hayden says, hello, Hayden. Please hit the like and subscribe button. That was published in 1842, but what are the lessons for Masons? Do not be a Prince Prospero. Do not expect that you can ignore the problems of the outside world and they will not affect your lodges therein. Um, Pay attention to your buildings, how they are made, how they are built. Make them friendly to people so that they are therefore friendly to lodges and friendly to Freemasonry and conducive to growth. And then on the other side of it, interesting Masonic connections, the fact that there are 7 rooms, 7 being a very important Masonic number, which I think is really valuable. Or I suspect that was done on purpose because, again, we know Edgar Allan Poe wrote about Freemasons. In the Cask of Amontillado, actually, he wrote about Freemasons. One of the main characters was himself a Freemason. So, yeah, that to me is where the connections are from. Right? Don't be a Prince Prospero, because there are many, and also, to any Masons who may have a feeling of unease as it deals with the future of the craft or how long Freemasonry will be around, don't ignore that unease. Figure out why you have that unease and what you can do to try to deal with it. Because, again, in the Masque of Red Death, there's those scenes where every hour people are partying, having fun, then the hour hits and they get nervous, they get scared, they stop, right? Because they realize or start to feel like they know that what they're doing right now is not sustainable. In the same way, I think sometimes in Freemasonry, we recognize that things are not sustainable, but instead of trying to make changes, we just carry on as is, which ultimately I think is going to, it's just not going to work. And if you have that feeling of unease, don't ignore it. Think about why you have it. So there you go. Thank you, last investor. I'm happy that I'm managing to maybe connect with you. That's always my goal when I'm on here. It's to connect with as many different people as I can. By the way, please take a moment, hit the like and subscribe button if you're new. And also, don't forget, you can find me and support me via Patreon. So I hope you will consider doing that also. Patreon.com/GrowandCompass. It is that Freemasonry guy. Welcome back, half hawk, half man. I hope you're doing well. I'm going to be ending this stream shortly because I've got a ton of work I need to do today. I believe I'll be back on at 1 a.m. this morning. I'm not positive, but I believe I will be. But please, if you are new, hit like, hit subscribe. Connor Sillars. So by these doofuses, I believe he means Freemasons. I'm not a flat earther, nor am I a Scientologist. But what is it about me that makes you think me personally is a doofus or be a doofus? Because actually, I probably am a doofus, to be perfectly honest with you, but that's not a reflection on Freemasonry, that's a reflection on me being a doofus. The coolest thing ever is when, well, because in fairness, it's a Masonic podcast. So if you're on here commenting about anything, my assumption is it will somehow relate to Freemasonry, because the whole point of this podcast is to talk about Freemasonry, right? So, I mean, if I had a podcast talking about me having no legs, which I do, I'm in a wheelchair, and you said these doofuses, I would assume you're referring to people with no legs as being doofuses, which we are also. The coolest thing about Freemasonry is when you are, thank you, Half Hawk, man, I appreciate that. I appreciate you being here. Is when you take a Greyhound bus to a brand new town, or a train, or whatever it is, you get off the bus, you wheel around the town, and you wheel around the city, and you find a Masonic building with the square and compasses in it, and you go in there and you meet a whole bunch of new friends, and sometimes they feed you if they're having a dinner. The coolest thing is the fact that you can travel anywhere in the world and find a brother. That is, without a doubt, um, something that is incredible, and it's one of the things I love about it. Me personally, the other coolest thing I love about it is the fact that Freemasonry welcomes men and women, but men of all different religious beliefs and faiths and um, political persuasions. I think that's a beautiful thing in 2025. So I agree. Connor should be careful with his words, not because all I can do at the end of the day is, put him in timeout or ban him. But I mean, I don't mind if you insult me, Connor, but I'm not a fan of you insulting other people on the stream. Kindness is a virtue. Sometimes it's a virtue that's overlooked, but it is truly a virtue nonetheless. I agree. And as someone who loves to travel, I consider myself a professional traveler. Traveling to a new town, a new place, is something that I really, really take a lot of pride in. And meeting Freemasons therein is something I really take a lot of pride in as well. I mean, honestly, usually, Connor, I find people who talk that way are usually the least tough people in the room. It's easy to talk that way when you're online. I'm not a tough guy myself. I don't pretend to be. Um, I like to think I can diffuse situations through kindness and humor, but usually that strikes me as a lot of showing off and fronting. In my experience, the toughest people are the ones who are usually the most quiet, for whatever it's worth. Um, don't worry about it, Courtney. I mean, I may block Connor Silars, hope I pronounced that correctly. I tend not to worry too much about what's said online, but I do not like people talking smack about the other people in my audience. Because, last investor, I appreciate you being here. Same thing with you, obviously, Courtney. Um, Maybe he was trying to say it the same way I meant it, Connor, as in, why not be kind, right? Why not think about the things that you say and the way they may affect other people and try to practice kindness, especially if you don't know the person? It's one thing if you're friends, if you know people, you can kind of get away with being um, a little bit more respectful, or a little bit more. You can fool around, joke around with them. When you don't know people and it's online, you have to maybe be a little bit kinder with your words. Jake B, I am missing both of my legs above the knee. I was born this way. Jake B, I'm told if you hit the like and subscribe button and give a bunch of hearts, my legs will grow back. Actually, I'm just kidding. That's not true at all. Nobody think that. Nobody copy that. But nonetheless, if you do the hearts and the likes, it'll make me feel good. So there's that. But thank you for being here. I truly, truly appreciate it. And Jake, let me know if you're new to the stream. I don't recognize your name off the top of my head. Um, Let me know if you have any questions about Freemasonry. And welcome to everybody who's joining. Please hit the like and subscribe button. Probably this weekend. I don't know for sure on my personal channel, but I think so. I think honestly the next stream I'm going to do on my personal channel is a live stream of the Detroit River. I'll start it maybe in the morning and then go on for the day, and maybe even do a full 24-hour live stream of the Detroit River. on my personal channel because it's such a beautiful river. It's got the barges, which my mom used to love to watch. So I'm thinking it might be kind of fun to do that, you know, just as something different. And again, I wouldn't even be talking on it. I may come in every now and then and put something in the chat, but I would be mostly just letting people watch the river, come in and out, watch the barges. I'm curious to see how that would go. Some Masonic humor. Some Masonic humor there. All right, not bad, not bad. I'd give that a couple of, I'd give that 2 knocks out of 3. Not a bad joke. But technically, on a little bit of a side note, it's not the DD that would, it's not the DD that would seize the charter. It would be the Grand Lodge itself. You'd probably have the Grand Master come down to do that. So so I'd switch from DD to Grand Master. But still, not bad. Here's my favorite Masonic joke of all time. For what it's worth, how many Masons does it take to change a light bulb? That's the setup. How many Masons does it take to change a light bulb? Anybody want to answer? The answer is it's a secret. Shadow says hello. Welcome, Shadow. I think welcome back. The same amount. It's a secret, according to her, that the same amount it takes to. Another not bad joke, Connor. I think that's better than your district deputy joke, to be honest. So I would give that. I can't do out of 3. I would give that 9 out of 10. Hopefully this. Please follow me on Patreon, and I can make this my profession. That's the goal. You are welcome. I hope, Connor, that you'll hit that like and subscribe button if you've not done so yet. I hope that you are doing well. Please hit like, please hit subscribe, and thank you again for being here. Obviously got off to a bit of a rough start, but that's okay. I still, even people who don't like Freemasonry, I like to talk to them because it helps me become better at formulating my responses to their arguments and understanding what people are thinking out there about Freemasonry. So I enjoy very much talking to people, even though some people have, dislike of Freemasonry. I don't like it when people talk smack about other people on my stream. Don't do that, but feel free to chat with me. Well, not everybody's going to see that joke, Ricky, but that's kind of funny. I hope everybody is doing well. Like I said, this is going to be finishing soon, maybe 5 minutes, which gives us 5 more minutes for people to hit the like and subscribe button. I hope you enjoyed my review of the Masque of Red Death. why I think it's relevant when it comes to Freemasonry. And yeah, thank you for being here. And as I was saying, do not be a Prince Prospero. Ah, that's not a bad one. I don't think I've ever heard that one before, but that's pretty decent. Or you could even say, how many past masters does it take to change a light bulb? They don't change anything. It's a pretty good one. Eric760, just chatting about Freemasonry. Please take a moment, hit that like and subscribe button. Let me know how you're doing and if there's anything that you want to talk about. Any questions, comments, thoughts on Freemasonry, positive, negative, or neutral? I have no idea. I mean, when it comes to LLMs and chat software, or do you mean like chat for the I'm just moving. I'm back. Chat for like the YouTube chat, or do you mean chat like LLMs? Because for LLMs I just use Chat GPT. I'm not sure. It'd be worth looking into though. That's for sure. Ryan is back. Ryan, I will be definitely finishing this stream shortly, so you came in at the end, but that is cool. I hope that you are doing well. Please take a moment, hit that like and subscribe button. Oh my gosh, Eric, I'm sorry to hear that. I hope you're okay. Um, Sounds like that would not be a fun situation. But hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, and let me know if you have any questions about Freemasonry. But I think Ryan McKee is very cool. He's not a Mason himself, but he's just a really cool guy. And he's part of the Masonic family. That's for sure. All right, I think we're going to end this stream. Thank you, everybody, for being here. We will, like I said, be back potentially tonight at 1 a.m. If not, Friday, 1 p.m. Oh, never mind. And why can't I talk about it? And what? I'm not sure. But why can't I talk about Freemasonry? Yeah, I mean, your shoulder would be. You gotta be a tough cookie to go through that and come out with just a messed up shoulder, an effed up shoulder. Congratulations on, I guess, being okay, as relatively speaking, but I'm sure it's still just a crummy situation. But it sounds like you are one tough cookie. But let me know how it's going, and like I said, we'll give this another, let's say, Because I want to see if Anne lets me know what he meant by you're not supposed to talk about it, or why he thinks you're not supposed to talk about it. Because that, I think, is one of the biggest misconceptions about Freemasonry, the idea that we're not allowed to discuss it. Well, being tired, it's going to affect your ability to recover from things and everything like that, right? Like injuries do that in general. If you have an injury, the extent to which you can or cannot recover from it is going to depend on a lot of different factors, but one is how tired you are or are not. Thanks, Eric. I try my best. I mean, I'm still relatively new to streaming. I have my podcast episodes, my interviews, which I really enjoy. But like everything, it's a constant learning process. So, Eric, please feel free to share the stream and, tell people about it. I tend to do 1 p.m. and 1 a.m. streams. Tonight, I think I'm going to do another 1 a.m. stream, but I'm not positive. But certainly tomorrow, I'll be back to a 1 p.m. stream. And I love talking about Freemasonry. My view is, if I'm talking about something I enjoy, then it's going to make sense to be chill and fun about it. Thank you. I mean, the goal is to explore the ways in which Freemasonry was and is relevant to the communities in which it's located. If I can do that by being on YouTube, then that's kind of the goal. I'm not positive yet, but I believe so. At 12 midnight. It's always at midnight if I do one. Not positive, but I think I will. I'll try to post something on my socials so people know about it. Turtle Squad. You don't look turtly enough for the Turtle Club, Turtle Squad. But hello to you as well. Please hit like and subscribe. Let me know how it's going. Every time I think I'm going to jump off, somebody else jumps on and says hello, and I want to make sure I chat with them. So, Turtle Squad, if you are turtly enough for the Turtle Squad, you will hit the like and subscribe button and share the stream, etc., etc. The mother of turtles. So you're laying a bunch of eggs? Or is it turtles all the way down? And if you don't know that reference, you should learn that reference because it's a good one. Nice. So you're a fan of turtles then, huh? I'm guessing turtles your favorite animal. For me, my favorite animal is cat. But I remember one of my favorite places to visit in the world, one of my favorite cities just to be in, I consider it a second home, is um, Glenview, Illinois, which is a suburb or village that's just north of Chicago. And they have in Glenview this place called The Grove. which is off North Milwaukee. It's like a nature reserve. And in the grove, they have a giant turtle. Well, they have a bunch of turtles, right? They have some different, like, in their interpretive center, they have a bunch of different displays and etc., etc. And they have a whole bunch of turtles in there. But then they also have this giant turtle, whose name I forget, which is, you know, I gotta be hundreds of pounds. Like, I can't even think of how big it is. It's super old. It's like one of those things that when people go to the Grove, they go to check out the turtle. It's really cool. I can't think of the turtle's name off the top of my head. I'm gonna see if I can find it out quickly now. If you search the Grove, though, you should see them. The Grove, on my YouTube and stuff, I have a lot of videos of the Grove. I think it's such a cool place. Trying to think the last time I was in Glenview. About a month ago, give or take. What's your favorite type of turtle? June 8th was the last time I was in Glenview, so a month and a half ago. If I could find the Grove. Molly Schroeder says hello. Hello, Molly. Please hit like and subscribe button. Yellow-bellied slider. So are they called yellow-bellied because they're scared of things? Or is that just a coincidence? Of course, it was wonderful to have you. Thank you. Here it is. Big Al. That's the turtle's name, Big Al. Let me show you Turtle Squad. I'm going to have to do this from my phone. It's going to be kind of awkward. I am not from Mexico. That's Big Al. I am not from Mexico, but I've been to Mexico, and I love Mexico. I've been to Mexico 3 times, Puerto Vallarta each time. Reggio Gatos, please hit the like and subscribe button. I would truly appreciate it. There's also a lot of really cool Freemasonry, by the way, in Mexico. It's a wonderful Masonic jurisdiction. It's turtles all the way down, after all. So if you are just joining, please take a moment, hit the like and subscribe button. I know I said I was going to finish this stream early, but people keep joining, and I hate leaving when I can still chat to people, talk about my love of Freemasonry, or just join me tonight at, or tomorrow morning, I guess, at 1 a.m. All right, guys, thank you so much. I will see you all very soon. Have an excellent day.